Think about something you used to love, something that used to make you genuinely excited to wake up. A hobby, a show, a person, a place, something that felt like yours. Now ask yourself honestly, when did you last feel that way about anything? Because for a lot of people watching this right now, the answer is they can't remember. Not because life got worse, not because they're depressed in the way people talk about on TV, but because slowly, quietly, without any warning, the color drained out of everything. And what's left is this strange, flat gray where enthusiasm used to live. You still function. You still do the things. But nothing lands the way it used to. Nothing pulls you in. Nothing lights you up. And the scariest part? You can't explain why. Here's what I need you to understand right now. This is not who you are becoming. This is not your personality changing. There is a precise neurological reason this is happening inside your brain. And if you watch this video to the end, you will finally understand what it is and how to begin reversing it, starting today. When people lose interest in things they used to love, the first thing they do is search for a reason in their life. They ask, is it my job? My relationship? Am I just ungrateful? Do I need a change? Should I travel, quit, start over? And sometimes they make those changes, and still nothing shifts. Because the problem isn't in your circumstances. The problem is in your brain's ability to respond to your circumstances. And that ability, the ability to feel reward, anticipation, and pleasure, runs entirely on one system. When that system is depleted, it doesn't matter how good your life looks from the outside. Nothing gets in. Nothing registers. You become a receiver with no signal, and the world keeps broadcasting something you simply cannot pick up anymore. That system is your dopamine system, and chronic fatigue, poor sleep, and prolonged burnout are quietly destroying it. Dopamine is not just the pleasure chemical. That's an oversimplification that misses everything important. Dopamine is your brain's anticipation and motivation engine. It's the feeling of wanting, the pull toward things, the sense that something ahead of you is worth moving toward. When dopamine is functioning well, life has texture. Things feel meaningful. Curiosity feels natural. When it's depleted, when the system is worn down by exhaustion, overstimulation, and chronically poor sleep, the wanting disappears. Not the things themselves, the wanting. And without wanting, nothing feels interesting. Nothing feels worth it. Everything feels like effort, with no reward waiting on the other side. This condition even has a clinical name, anhedonia. the inability to feel pleasure. And it is one of the most common and least talked about consequences of long-term sleep deprivation and burnout. 1. Sleep deprivation directly strips dopamine receptors. When you don't get deep, restorative sleep consistently, your brain begins reducing the number of dopamine receptors available in your reward system. Fewer receptors means weaker signals. The same activities that used to feel rewarding now barely register. It's not that you've changed. It's that your brain has physically reduced its capacity to feel reward as a direct consequence of inadequate sleep. You didn't go numb. You were made numb, quietly, night after night. 2. Overstimulation has raised your baseline. Constant scrolling, endless content, back-to-back stimulation, all of it floods your dopamine system with tiny, rapid hits all day long. Over time, your brain recalibrates. It raises the threshold for what counts as interesting. And suddenly, quiet things, reading, conversation, a walk, a hobby, don't clear that threshold anymore. They feel boring, pointless. Not because they are, but because your baseline has been artificially inflated by a world designed to overstimulate you. 3. Chronic stress hijacks the reward circuit. When your body is under prolonged stress, even low-grade background stress, cortisol floods your system and competes directly with dopamine signaling. Stress and reward cannot fully coexist. Your brain prioritizes threat detection over pleasure. So, even in moments that should feel good, your nervous system is too busy scanning for danger to let the reward land. You're present for the moments, but you can't feel them. 4. You've stopped finishing things. Dopamine fires not just when you receive a reward, but in the anticipation of completing something. When fatigue and low motivation push you toward passive consumption, scrolling, watching, drifting, you stop finishing things. Projects, books, workouts, conversations. And without completion, the anticipation loop never closes. Dopamine never fully fires. Over time, your brain stops bothering to generate the wanting signal at all, because experience has taught it that nothing gets finished anyway. 5. Your sleep is robbing you of emotional processing. REM sleep is where your brain processes the emotional weight of your experiences. It's where meaning gets assigned, memories get filed, and feelings get resolved. When sleep is poor, or REM is disrupted, emotional experiences pile up unprocessed. Life starts to feel heavy, confusing, and strangely pointless. Not because it is, but because your brain never had the overnight space to make sense of it. nothing feels interesting, when everything underneath still feels unresolved. Here is how you begin waking the system back up. 1. Aggressively reduce passive stimulation. Not forever, just for a season. Less scrolling, less autoplay, less background noise. You need to lower your stimulation baseline so that quieter, real things can register again. This is uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is the withdrawal. Push through it. 2. Finish small things deliberately. Make your bed. Complete a short walk. Read 10 pages. Finish the task. Every completion loop you close begins retraining your brain to generate anticipation again. Start absurdly small. The size doesn't matter. The completion does. 3. Protect your REM sleep. Avoid alcohol within 4 hours of sleep. It devastates REM. Keep your sleep schedule consistent. Give your brain the overnight processing time it needs to make your life feel meaningful again. This single change, sustained over 2 weeks, produces noticeable shifts in emotional color. 4. Reintroduce one thing you used to love with zero pressure. Not to enjoy it, not to feel something, just to be near it again. Sit with the guitar, open the book, lace up the shoes. Presence without expectation is how a depleted dopamine system begins to find its way back. The flatness you've been living in is not your future. It is a system under strain, and strain, when properly understood, can be relieved. You have not lost your ability to feel. You have not lost your love for the things that mattered to you. Your brain has been running on fumes for too long, and it quietly dimmed the lights to survive. But the lights can come back on. And now you know exactly which switches to reach for. If this explained something you've been carrying quietly for a long time, share it. Someone who needs this is one share away from finding it. Hit like if this hit home. It means more people get to feel less alone in this. Subscribe. Every week, we go deep on sleep, energy, and the science of feeling human again. And tell me in the comments, when did you last genuinely look forward to something? Be honest. I want to know. And I actually read every response. The next video on your screen goes into what chronic fatigue is actually doing to your brain long-term, and how much of it is reversible. You need to watch that next. You're not gone. You're depleted. There's a difference, and it matters.